This is Numbers 10. And what's happening in number 10, they're talking about the trumpets. It's like 200 trumpets. And they sound for the assembly. But they use the trumpets almost like a cell phone. Like we use a cell phone for everything. Well, they use trumpets for everything back then. So it was like to call the war, to say it's time to journey. One horn for a prince, alarm to acknowledge God, gladness, sadness. Every time they moved, offerings. And remembering God, they used trumpets. They always was using trumpets. So, trumpets was used a lot to signal the people to act a particular way. When you heard it, you act a certain way. Just like in the Word of God, it says, "My sheep hear my voice, no other will they follow." When you hear the Word of God and you know that's the Word of God, you do what the Word of God says, or at least you're convicted by it. The cloud is moving, and it's moving to where? Not to the promised land, to another wilderness. They went from wilderness to wilderness to wilderness many times before they got to the promised land. They had a lot of other issues with it, but it was the promised land. And you have to understand that you may have to go through a lot of wilderness to get to your promised land. And it's okay. It's still the path that you need to take. It doesn't mean that you fail. It's just the path, because the cloud was over them, and that's where it was leading them, to another place of wilderness. Now, there was this one person that I really like in this chapter. They decided that they wasn't going to follow where everybody else was going. They didn't want to. But later on, when you read the Bible, a next generation had decided, you know what, we want to follow the man of God. So this is what I want to say. You can be in a situation of generations that don't do whatever they're supposed to do, and you can just rise up and say, from this point on, this is what I want to do. I know that's what you did. I know you was an alcoholic. I know you was a whoremonger. I know that you was a robber, killer, and destroyer, but I don't want to do that. I want to be different. And you have the right to be different. You have the right to say, I don't want to do this. I know this is in my gene. I know this is the way everybody does it. I know my uncles, my aunties, my mamas, my daddies, and everybody I know did it like this. But I want to change the way I do stuff. You have that right to change the way you want to live. Well, that's my time. Stay free.